When I first got into this whole gym culture, just a year or so before it exploded into the mainstream, I was very eager to learn about a whole new world with dials that can be turned and spreadsheets that can be optimized. I'd already from a young age taken an interest in diet and nutrients and such, as my family is very conscious of these things. One day, I stumbled across a particularly large fitness channel who will go unnamed. Looking at their recipes, I was excited to see what sorts of foods turn one into this hulking beast of a man. However, I was caught at least a little bit off guard. Surely, this was a meme. I looked at the upload date. No, it was not uploaded on April 1st. Huh. Curious. More often than not, these bodybuilding recipes consisted of pouring a can of egg whites into a moderately heated pan until they reluctantly until they reluctantly coagulated. And then, in some Hail Mary last-ditch attempt to save the lifter's taste buds, maple syrup or Splenda was added to the finished product. You can imagine my surprise. This wasn't the type of diet I'd imagine, nor was it what I would see more reputable sources suggest later on. It was like watching a homeless man on a needle tip's worth of fentanyl getting scooped up from the streets of Pasadena and being placed into the Institute of Culinary Education in a room by himself, left to come up with a recipe for greatness. Nowadays, thankfully, this trend is slowly dying, and people have started to recognize this joke for what it is. I'm here to contribute to this with this nutritional power scale. Without further ado, let us get into why egg yolks neg your verse. We cannot discuss any food in the context of muscle building and nutrition without first going over the macronutrients. Proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Let me get the obvious one out of the way, carbs. If you're choosing eggs as your main source of carbohydrates, I'm sorry to burst your bubble. Close the video now if you don't want to be spoiled. 3, 2, 1, okay, here it goes. They don't fucking have carbs. They have trace carbohydrates. I plugged into Chronometer, eggs have around 2 grams of carbohydrates for 4 whole eggs, which is fucking nothing in terms of density. So if this is what you're looking for, you will be severely disappointed. However, if you are sane, you will know that this is like complaining that meats don't have carbohydrates, for example. Obviously, eggs will not be rich in carbs. However, this is not an issue for anyone who lives in even a moderately developed nation, as the easiest thing in the world to get your hands on in 2024 America is fentanyl. The second easiest is carbohydrates. Therefore, you can just pair your eggs with any carb you would like, or if you're going keto, this is very good because you can have eggs, get the nutritional benefits, and stay in ketosis. As far as fats go, this is where the yolks do most of the heavy lifting. I believe the fat soluble vitamins are heavy in these fucking egg yolks, and therefore that is why they have a bunch of fats that are yes saturated, but that are yes essential for your health. Egg yolks provide a fuckload of fat, which are very essential for hormone function. Sorry for my speaking abilities. And yeah, you can't go wrong with that. The egg whites don't contain almost any fat, unless like a little bit of trace amounts, as far as I'm concerned. Now, where the egg whites shine is protein. Egg whites are mostly protein. This is why they stick to the pan if you don't use nonstick and you don't know how to cook. This is why they coagulate. This is why they do all that good shit. Egg whites have most of the protein of the egg. However, no one's gonna eat egg yolks on their own, except if you're making a meringue and you're just saving the yolks and you're making a yolk only omelet. More power to you. However, if you have the whole egg, it's like, what's an iconic duo? Like Hidan and Kakuzu. No, because they kind of do the same thing. They kind of both do the immortality thing. I'm trying to compare this to some media, but I can't think of any. They're a great combo. You got the protein from the whites, you got the fats and the fucking minerals from the yolks. Yippee. That concludes the macro section. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the most important part of the video is coming up. Where eggs really shine, the yolks in particular, is their micronutrients and micronutrient density. As far as I'm aware, eggs shit stomp most other foods when it comes to micronutrients, especially these 3 that I'm going to discuss right here: choline, iodine, and fluoride. Choline is a nutrient, shocker, that according to the National Institute of Health, your brain and nervous system need to regulate memory, mood, muscle control, and other functions. So this is one of the ones where People may even describe it for depression. Like if you're depressed, this is one of the things I used to say in my like mid 2023 videos. Like, hey, if you're depressed, just fucking drink water and have nutrients. This choline is one of those nutrients. You also need it to form the cell membrane, which I know for most people doesn't mean much. Doesn't mean anything when they hear that. But to me, that's pretty fucking important, right? If you need something to form the cell membrane, that's literally the outside like protective layer of your cells, and you are made of cells. Therefore, choline is vitally important. On top of that, I'm talking like it's plural, choline can boost nitric oxide production, which every single pump supplement in the world constantly jerks themselves off about, like, wow, we increased arginine levels and nitric oxide in the blood. Well, if you have eggs, you will increase your choline, which will in turn lower your blood pressure in a good way, and increase nitric oxide production. Selenium is another nutrient, a vital nutrient, that the body needs for all sorts of things, from DNA synthesis, which literally, guys, we're covering cell membranes, DNA synthesis. We're discovering the fucking mystery of creation just by eating egg yolks. It needs it from a variety of processes, anything from that to a bunch of antioxidative properties. Selenium is a very good antioxidant. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, because I've never heard, like, I've very rarely heard an American pronounce selenium. Anyways, 4 eggs a day, which is what we're using here, absolutely maxes out your levels of selenium. Now, iodine. For iodine, I have a lot less scientific things to discuss, but a couple of anecdotes. For example, in the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, I know I'm managing to fucking sneak this into every single video of mine, Dale Carnegie mentions how to negate risks or to negate conflicts or something, that you may have to somehow and sometimes limit what you say and not burst out into a fit of rage. Now, since the book was written in 1939, a fit of rage for them means coming up with a clever poem to insult the person's intelligence. And one of these sayings that he said is that someone ought to pour a gallon of iodine into your thyroid gland. This means he was literally, Dale Carnegie, the writer of How to Win Friends and Influence People, as an insult, was calling someone deficient in iodine. This is very telling. Iodine is crucial for your thyroid function, which is great for fucking everything, dog. Your metabolism, your bones, your muscles. Especially if you're an infant. If you're an infant watching this video, especially don't be deficient in iodine. Or if you're a pregnant woman watching this video, please don't be deficient in iodine for the health and safety of yourself and your child. Now, the second thing is actually a tip for a lot of chefs and home cooks, because we may be shitting on and laughing at all the fitness influencers, hahaha lol, for their crazy habits, their crazy egg yolk excluding diets, and their fucking artificial sweeteners. However, there's a big L that we as chefs must take, and that L is iodine deficiency, especially if we don't eat enough seafood, which is another source, right? Now, this, I don't believe, goes against the nature of the video, since salt is, I mean, it's a food, but it's like a seasoning, dog. So it counts because you can put it on eggs. If you cook with kosher salt, I know I'm going to say something a little bit blasphemous in the culinary world, consider using regular iodized table salt for at least some of your meals, when the flake size and like controlling exactly how much salt you put in by hand doesn't matter. This is why. Because kosher salt in itself is not iodized. Neither is pink Himalayan salt. Neither is basically any salt that doesn't specifically say iodized table salt on it. I know that we in the culinary community fucking shit on table salt because it's too fine and it's not very accurate to pinch and measure out. But we must bite the bullet on here and not literally risk fucking losing thyroid function just because we want coarser salt. Iodized table salt is one of the easiest ways to increase your iodine levels, and also eggs. This is what this video is about. If you don't want to do that, just fucking eat your eggs. That also gives you a massive amount of iodine daily. However, you will need to eat a lot to max it out, or eat a regular amount of eggs and just fucking sprinkle them with some iodized table salt. This is the conclusion and recommendation of this power scale on eggs, and especially egg yolks. If you can, and if you're able to, and not throw up while doing this, 4 eggs a day should be your new baseline. Now, to help with this, learn to cook. please, at least a little bit, because there are so many ways, different ways in which you can prepare eggs. Just off the top of my head, this wasn't a part of the script. I didn't prepare this. You can poach them, not broil them, fuck me. Boil them, sear them sunny side up, sear them, the one where you flip it, so you cook both sides, but without cracking it. You can poach them. I don't know if I already mentioned that. You can sous vide them if you're really a bastard. You can't bake them, you can't grill them. You can scramble them in like 3 different ways. You can make deviled eggs. You can make omelets of various types. You can make the Japanese omelet. You can make the souffle. You can do all these things if you only just learn how to cook. However, if you still can't wrap your head around this and 4 eggs a day is just way too much and your blood pressure just fucking spikes up and you just instantly die, don't get fear of missing out. Eggs are a wonderful food. They're amazing, lovely. Include them in your diet. However, if you can't, don't get fear of missing out, because there are always other ways to supplement any of these nutrients. Eggs just are like an all-in-one solution for a bunch of these things. As you saw in the chronometer tab, they like fulfilled 34% of your daily nutrient needs, which is absolutely insane for just 4 eggs, which is just one type of food, my guy. So, 4 a day as a baseline, maybe more, maybe less. Learn to cook so you can stomach these. However, if you can't, if you still just don't want to for whatever reason, don't get FOMO. You still have other ways of supplementing these nutrients. Thank you very much for watching. And yeah, don't make the recipes where you pour egg whites into a fucking pan and just add sugar and call that a bodybuilding meal. Thank you very much. Have a great night.